Deals with Heels, where female entrepreneurs thrive. I'm Deborah.
And I'm Christina.
We are your hosts. Welcome.
Welcome. I'm so excited. I love hearing about marketing and all different aspects. Like, it's going to be great to have this guest. I'm so excited.
I am really excited to have Lorraine as well. I was a guest on her podcast and it aired in June. And so you should definitely check out all of Lorraine's very awesome podcasts, but you should definitely check out my episode. Our guest, after spending too many years in corporate America, Lorraine said goodbye to the bureaucracy, glass ceilings, and bad coffee to follow her passion to help small business owners succeed today. This successful entrepreneur, author, and professional speaker enjoys sharing what she knows about marketing and in presentations to groups around the country, in college classrooms, and in her weekly podcast, More Than a Few Words. She brings creative ideas, practical tips, and decades of real-world experiences to every conversations. In her spare time, she loves to travel and take photos. Please welcome to Deals with Heels, Lorraine Ball.
Hey, how are you, ladies?
Good. How are you today?
Awesome. I'm so excited to be here.
I love it. I get so excited for these days, getting dressed up like a little girl and this is the best part, about this season is we have so many phenomenal guests. And I'm so grateful for that.
I am too. And Lorraine is a very talented organic marketing person. And she does things that I don't do all the time. And today I really wanted to talk about your content-based SEO. I loved that title, content-based SEO, you're doing it wrong. And I have no doubt that most of us probably aren't doing it. And if we are doing it, we probably aren't doing it
correctly.
Well, to the best that it could be. And so I really enjoyed our conversation when I was on your show too. And I wanted to know if you would tell everyone what made you choose to really focus on your expertise in the organic marketing side. And then we'll dive into some content-based stuff for SEO.
Absolutely. I've been doing this a long time. And so when I started, there were a lot of people that were very focused on what I would call playing games. It was all about gaming the algorithm. It was all about winning search and any way that you could. And I really was very turned off by that for two reasons. Number one, I don't got time for games. But the second thing, and really the thing that my clients cared about, was you were driving traffic to your website and it was the wrong traffic. Yes, you had high traffic, but you weren't converting. You weren't getting any of the people that you were attracting to your website ready to take the next step because you really weren't answering the right questions. And so I started exploring this whole area of what does it take to do it right? I stumbled on content-based SEO. I'll talk about that in a minute. But all the boys in the space patted me on the head and said, Lorraine, you're doing it wrong. And I said, no, I think this is the right way to go. And after about 2 or 3 years of listening to all my male peers tell me I was doing it wrong, Google changed their rules. And you know what Google started emphasizing? Content. And all my friends who had built these businesses around black hat strategies and gray hat strategies collapsed. And their clients' traffic overnight collapsed. And I sat there going, guys, if you had to put some content out there, just saying. So that's really where this came from and why. And I've done it throughout the years owning my agency, and it always works.
It does, and it is their third-party cookies are going away, are mostly gone at this point. All of the things that marketers used to rely on, and there's been this trend towards content marketing to draw eyeballs and to get the people that you want people just don't always do it the right way. And she's been doing it longer than, I mean, back when everyone was doing it the old school way still, she was doing it the content way. And that's why I think the way she's doing it and to have the conversation with you about that was really important.
Yeah.
I just love how she says the boys.
I know, the boys.
The boys, because they think that they know it all.
Yes.
You know, it's true, because back when I started my agency, and I started as a traditional agency and then sort of migrated into digital, because I am kind of a geek and I do like the techie stuff. And it was a space that was dominated by men. There were not a lot of women playing on the technical side. There are a lot of women strategists. And I think today, you know, fast forward 20 years, I think it has changed a lot. But most of the agencies were owned by men. And it was a very different approach than I was taking. And so, yeah, it was me and the boys.
It was, you know, I know I was on the private side, so I was on the client, but we hired agencies, and one maybe that we interviewed over the years was owned by a woman. She was fantastic, but it was all dominated. All the creative directors were men, pretty much all the agencies. Now the media buyers were women.
Yes.
And I don't know why that was, if that's the meticulousness of that particular skill or what it was exactly, but the media buyers would all be women.
Yeah, I think there were places that women kind of carved out. And again, I think it is changing, but I belong to a mastermind group of agency owners, and the vast majority are men, but the women in the group are running very successful businesses. Because if you're going to play in that space, you have to play well.
Yes.
Yes, and there's definitely a part of me that has incredibly high expectations of myself because of living in and working in that space. Christina knows that part of me well. She's hard on both of us.
Sometimes we don't get along the best.
I know. Sometimes it's like, it's a good thing that she's not in charge.
Yeah.
Okay. See, but that's really healthy too, that you each bring something different to the conversation and you bring different expertise, so you are more comfortable collaborating.
Yes, and Christina and I have known each other just over a year, and that's it. We really clicked and had great chemistry and had been on a similar healing journey. And honestly, I've never had a friend quite like Christina before, and so special to me to have that friendship. I want to kind of jump over into SEO, because every business owner I talk to would love to be able to just post a little content for free and grow their business and never have to pay advertising for anything. And although that's not possible, you're going to have to incorporate a lot of it. There is a lot you can do with your content that will work together with everything else you're doing and grow your web presence and make the Google algorithm and all the other algorithm gods love you. And Christine and I talk about it sometimes with being consistent with what you do and your names and your keywords. But I am so anxious to hear all of your tips on how to make our content push our SEO.
Okay, so let's start with let go of your keywords. I know that as an ad specialist, there's a little part of your heart going, but the truth is, 20 years ago when we started doing search, people would go to Google, and if you remember, you would type in furnace plus repair.
Oh,
Okay?
yeah.
Little Boolean search. Nobody does that anymore.
No.
Nobody does it anymore. You pick up your telephone, Siri, why does my furnace smell funny? Where is there a good shoemaker near me? I need a dress altered by Wednesday. Where should I go? Very specific. The way we search today, it's voice-based search, and it is question. It's very question oriented. You go to search when you have a question. So if you are trying to create content that will attract the attention of search engines and people, start with the questions. Start with the questions that you get asked every single day. And if you're not frontline in your business anymore, talk to your customer service people. Talk to your salespeople. Dive into your email and look at the last 10 emails that you answered from a client. The questions are there. If you're still not sure that you have enough questions, go to Google. We call it hiding in plain sight. Have you ever noticed that when you start to type in a question in Google, you get like 5 choices, and then it says, and people also asked, and people also asked, and people also asked. Copy the crap out of all of those questions, put them in a spreadsheet, and then start looking at them and going, okay, which of these are really relevant? Before you write anything, I want you to take one of those questions and go to your website and go into the search function for your website, type in that question, and see what comes up. You have just identified the questions that people are asking. Are you answering them? We did this experiment with a flooring company, and the guy was like, the thing that people always ask me is, why do I have to put a subfloor under, when I rip up carpet and I want to put in hardwood or luxury vinyl, why do I need a subfloor? What is that all about? We typed that question, and this is a question he said he was getting every job.
Then people are asking Google and Siri and Alexa that. If he's getting asked it on every single job, you know that it is relevant.
Absolutely. And you know what? We couldn't find an answer on his website.
And he's the one getting asked the question.
Yes.
You think that he would eventually be like, hey, when they call and they want this, to direct them to the website.
Right.
The frequently asked questions.
Right.
I mean.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you totally get it. And so now you've got all of these great topics. Start answering the questions. And, these days, shoot a video. Answer the question into a video. Get a transcript. Turn that into a blog post. Turn that into social posts. Turn that into a workbook if it's a big enough topic. If it's a topic that has lots of pieces, write a series.
Those are great carousels too on Instagram, because I get in the carousels and I'll keep clicking because that's just so interesting, and yes, I love those. Yes. Those are important.
This is like a light bulb moment. Like, what is it? Despicable Me? Light bulb.
Absolutely. I mean, you're absolutely.
My wheels are spinning, and okay, I need to get out of here really quick and write all of this down. Where's my
Thankfully, it's on video, right? Thankfully, we have it. You know what it reminds me of, Lorraine? I was a guest on a podcast. The host name is Tom, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it. But his main audience are the bots, the search bots.
Yes.
And it's very, because of the voice search, I learned so much talking to him after the podcast even. And he said that because of the voice search and the questions, and he tries to get the bots to pick up so that our episode gets picked up and that we get the right questions and say the right things. And I found that really interesting. And your strategy fits right in with that, doesn't it?
Well, absolutely. And I laugh because, again, I started doing this, 15, 18 years ago and have enhanced it over the years. Now there's a whole class of SEO strategy. It's called answer optimization.
Of course it is.
Of course.
somebody came up with a name for what I've been doing for all these years, but that's really what you're doing. And now I'm going to come back to you as an ad person. I've now written all of this content answering all of these questions. I've gotten customer testimonials talking about me doing this work. You've got all of this wonderful, rich content that you can create ads around that are optimized for select keywords within my answers.
Right. And since you've been posting it, we know which posts were the most successful. And folks, those are the ones you make the ad to, because that's the one people are responding. Now you're going to put an ad out there that's open to the public, that you're trying to get your audience, and you know which one's working best because you've done such a great job with your content. You'll probably have multiple choices on, what to promote and what to do. Yeah, very exciting.
And those pieces go together. And the other thing, and again, I work with somebody else who's a specialist on the advertising side, and we argue back and forth who does more for the business, blah, 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 whatever. But what she has taught me is Google will often, when you buy an ad, they will rank not just the ad, but the destination. Are you using this ad to send people to a high quality page? And if you are, your ad is going to be ranked higher. You're going to get more favorable rates. And so there is the benefit on the advertising side, but then closing that loop, coming back full circle. At the end of the day, Google is not buying from you.
No.
Facebook is not buying from you. None of those ad companies are writing me a check. The only person that's writing me a check is the human being. And if you optimize for the bots, but you don't support that with really rich, informative content, the people are going to come and go, not interested, and they're going to leave. And
I used to sit in conferences in management meetings with the boys in the 90s. And when we were talking about, I was in the cable industry, and it was when we were first starting to get competition, right? And so I was on a competition committee, of course, as the marketing person, but a bunch of other people that were tech guys and field guys and management guys, and they all want to sit around and brainstorm ideas for TV commercials. That's their idea of being competitive, was let's come up with these funny TV commercials, and let's face it, they're not creative guys, they're tech guys, they're not, so we sit for hours. And finally, I was like, guys, we can make creative that says whatever we want it to say, but it needs to be true. You need to be able to hold it up on your end.
Yeah.
You need to be able to have the goods. I can say whatever I want to say, but if it isn't authentic and it isn't true, then they're going to know. They're going to know. If I say we're great at customer service and we always answer our phone, but you can look at our stats and we don't.
There you go.
Well, so how about we switch it over to actually being as good as we're going to say we are, and make sure we hold up that end too. And it's the same thing, right?
Yes, it is. You got to put your money where your mouth is. You've got to demonstrate your expertise in whatever your field is. And the really cool thing with this is I have done this strategy with some of the most ridiculous applications. Heating and air conditioning companies. We did this strategy for a company that sold beans in glass jars.
Like Boston baked beans, or?
No, because those come in cans, and the beans don't taste as good in cans as they do in glass jars.
Oh, yeah.
The number one question that they got asked, what's the difference between a navy bean and a cannellini bean?
Are you serious?
What?
That's got to be regional, right?
National.
Wow.
That question, we wrote an answer, drove traffic to their website every single day.
That's fantastic. I
Day.
love
Wow.
that. I love it.
If you get the right, and one of the things that we noticed was one of their, after years, because this client was with me for 10 or 11 years, after several years, we would randomly do the search, and we were like, ooh, somebody else has the number one answer. Our answer is not number one anymore. Well, what did we do? Well, that's kind of the next piece of this content-based SEO. Is it's not always about new content, because that can be exhausting, particularly if you're in a field that doesn't change. We went back and we enhanced that original answer. We added 100 more words of content. We added a link to a recipe for beans. We added a photograph.
That's what I was going to say. Photograph.
And then we resubmitted that page to Google to re-index. And Google went, oh, this is nice. This is more info. This is great. And you know what? We were back on top.
I love that. I get a lot of questions, and I see a lot of questions on some of the women entrepreneur, women in business threads on social media about promoting e-commerce pages. And they all talk about SEO. And I know it's important to drive traffic to your store, but it seems like there's a lack of an emphasis on MPO and the product. And I think what you do really ties into that too, that the content of your listing and how all of that's worded. I know there's a ton of people, women out there that have those Etsy stores and all their little e-commerce stores, and it'd be really beneficial if you have any tips for that.
So one of the things that is working against you right now, sorry folks, but this is the way it is. We are in a period of what's called a zero-click environment. And what that means is that the majority of the platforms have shifted their algorithms to penalize you for outbound links. So, and Google also is doing this, and I'm going to talk about, let me talk about Google first, and then I'll talk about social media. And so what Google wants is either you to click on an ad, or it wants you to stay on Google, find the information that you need so you keep seeing those ads, so maybe you will click on an ad. The last thing Google really wants is for you to click away and not come back. And so what it is doing, and do Google searches of your own, and you will see that this is becoming much more prevalent. There is more information when you do a search. It's not just text and a tiny little description. You're starting to see those rich snippets. You're starting to see some lists. You're starting to see a lot of pictures. And so if you are looking for purely organic search from Google, you have to create, beyond your Etsy store, some landing pages that are just content rich, lots of photographs, lots of information. It can be the same stuff that's on your Etsy store, and then link. But that's going to be a big beacon for search. And then once I come, then give me the whole menu and I can click and buy what I like. But trying to drive SEO traffic directly to your little Etsy listing for one product is like asking me to find one seashell on a beach. It is just too much. But create a big pile of seashells and I can see it a mile away.
And some of the people they do put their own store together. I don't know where they host it at. A lot of them are on Shopify, but I get they're still in that feeling of, if I build it, they will come. And it just doesn't work that way. You have to be able to drive traffic, not just to that page, but the products and there's a certain slang for every, like the paperclip necklace. And if you don't say it and put it in there exactly the way they're going to search for it, your product isn't going to show up either. Do you think it helps to do like the Google shopping and be in the,
It
at the
doesn't.
top.
It doesn't hurt. You have to make a decision, and you know this when you were talking to clients about ad buys. Are you going to sell enough to make it worthwhile? And so, particularly, I think for early stage entrepreneurs, for solopreneurs and hobbyists who are doing this on the side, I think you need to use your time really well, answering lots of questions, getting information out there. And on social, this is equally challenging because that zero click, as much as it's a thing on Google, it is really a thing now on Facebook and on Instagram has always been zero click. Unless you paid for an ad, your links really didn't work. Facebook, you used to be able to click through, and you still can, but nobody will see your post. And so the way to win is to create long form content, break it up into small pieces, and keep putting it out on social. I would embed your web address in the video. Hey, if you want to find this item, be sure to copy this link. Because if you put the link in the post, you immediately get a negative score and fewer people will see it. So create the post. The other trick is create a post, let it get some traction, have people comment and interact on it, then go back. Hey, if you want to find this item, and add the link. But don't add the link until the post has gotten some traction. Nobody has seen it, it's not doing you any good, and no one will see it. On the other hand, if you find a post that's already popular, people are talking about it, now you sneak that in there, you can't get derated because you're already in the mix.
But what about the link in the comments?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is
like even from the beginning, you like post your post and then you come down and put the link in the comments from you. You still should have a wait.
You should still wait because the algorithms are now getting wise to that first post being from you and being in the comments. Don't do it. But if you have 3 or 4 people that are talking and now there's interaction, now you put the link. And the beautiful thing is the way the algorithms work. If you post if you post a comment on my post and then you post a comment on my post, you will get notified of her comment. So now I come back and I put the link. Both of you will now see my link. You've already expressed an interest in whatever I'm sharing.
Yes.
I love all of this. I mean, and I love the organicness of it. You made it seem not so difficult.
Right. There's real strategy behind it. And I know a lot of content creators have that real strategy, but knowing how to incorporate all the tedium that you're already doing into your SEO strategy and your online strategy, such fantastic information, Lorraine. And I just know that our audience is going to really love it.
Yes, I'm excited to see what everybody has to say and go put some of this to work.
I am too. And we are coming to the end, so I want to be sure that when people want to listen to your podcast, because I don't know about y'all, but I really want to continue the conversation with her. She has such great information. So all of it, I'm sure, is available on her successful podcast, More Than a Few Words. So if somebody wants to check that out and learn more about your business, how can they do that, Lorraine?
So morethanafewwords.com, you will find the podcast. You'll also find links to my toolbox where there are individual seminars, webinars, one on the topic of content-based SEO, as well as lots of other tools and resources. And of course, reach out to me on LinkedIn. That is where I play. Tell me you heard me on Deals with Heels.
How fun.
I'd love to continue the conversation there as well.
Fantastic. Well, I know that all of our listeners are going to eat up all of this.
Oh, yeah.
I could talk for a whole nother hour with Lorraine. We were that way when we were on her show too, just getting into the shop talk.
Well, I was actually glad to let y'all talk because it was like, okay, I'm just going to soak it in right now.
So it was fantastic to have you. Links to all of Lorraine's website and her podcast will be in our show notes, and her biography, and then links to Hexagon Media and Christina's Declutter Queen will be there also. So until next time, everyone, we're out.